Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurureva Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Chinmayam Vyapyat Sarvam Trailokyam Sacharacharam Tatpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vedyat Ravitam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva. Sai Guru. Is that you?
Yeah, sorry, that's me.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have a new person tonight. Casey, is that right? Yes, welcome. So let's go around and do names quickly.
Deepa.
Vinayak.
Joanna.
Jim. And you found this on Meetup?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know much about Bhagavad Gita at all?
I do Zen meditation.
You've done Zen meditation. Okay, well, you'll have no trouble with this. We have copies of the text. Joanne, you had mentioned, you asked my recommendation on the translation. The one copy I sent you on from Amazon. This is the one I use here.
Okay.
And it's $25 on Amazon. I give to people at cost for $15. If you don't have the cash, take it anyway.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. It's readable and understandable, Jim?
Very.
Okay.
Swamiji, of course, went to an English school, as most well-educated people did at that point. And he has degrees in literature, English literature, and law. So he's a very well-educated person. He was a Marxist in his early days. And he was very much involved in the struggle for Indian independence. And he was not a Gandhi kind of guy. He was a bomb-throwing leftist. Yeah. And he was imprisoned at one point for sedition. Some people say it's because of the articles he wrote. He was a journalist, but I think it's probably because he was blowing stuff up. He got very, very sick. And because the prison warden didn't want another dead person on his records, they just threw his almost dead body out on the roadside. And it was actually a Christian family that found him, rescued him, took him home, and nursed him back to health. So it was quite life-changing for him. And as he continued to look at this whole idea, what's the meaning of life? He was a very sensitive young man. Again, there are several stories. He goes up to Rishikesh, and some people say he was on a journalism assignment to bust the gurus. Any of you who've studied Marx know that one of his tenets was religion is the opiate of the populace. So Swamiji was of the opinion that it was the rigid structures of Hinduism that was helping to keep Indians in such bondage, most specifically the caste system. His entire life, he railed against the oppressive elements of the caste system. And other stories say that he was on a quest. But in any case, he landed in Swami Shivananda's ashram, and where we're going to be on the 12th, the Integral Yoga Institute. Their guru, Swami Satchidananda, was what we call Guru Bhai. They were in the same sannyasi class. It was either 47 or 48, right around that time. Whole lot of Jagat Gurus, really amazing people, were in that same brahmachari class. So they took sannyas at the same time. And then Swami Shivananda could see how brilliant Chinmaya was and suggested that he go further up the Ganga, the Ganges River, and study with a fellow named Swami Tapovana, who at that time was considered one of India's greatest Vedantins and saints. Now, unlike so many of the great gurus we come across, where they travel around the world and have thousands of disciples, Swami Tapovanam would only work with 1, 2, or 3 people at a time. In the tradition, it's actually a relationship with the teacher. So in 1952, Chinmaya said he was led to come out of the Himalayas, and his idea was, now India is free, but I want to help free Indians, because so many Indians had lost touch with the deeper meaning of their own culture. And Tapovanam says, okay, go. And if nobody shows up, come back to the Himalayas. And very quickly, he was a fantastic public speaker. He began this 40 years of teaching. And he wasn't the kind of teacher who would stay in one place and in an ashram and stuff like that. He would do these things called jnana yajna. So yajna is a sacrifice. The term again comes from Gita, and it means a sacrifice to knowledge. So they would be these camps, and they were anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks. Sometimes they were longer. And he did them all over India, and then later all over the world. And they would usually do a chapter of Gita in the evenings and an Upanishad in the mornings. And this started what came to be known as the Chinmaya Mission, which is a worldwide organization today. But he always kept these values of preference for the poor. He founded hospitals and schools in the Kulu Valley, which is up in the north and near his ashram in Siddhabadi. The problem was there were all these women and their husbands were just getting drunk every day, and there was enormous poverty. So he started a whole microeconomy among these women, taught them how to do textiles, or had people come in to teach them to do textiles. So they were able to have an entire industry to support themselves. So he was always working for the good of the society. Always working for the good of society. And one of the things he stressed, in Marxism, it talks about how what keeps people in bondage are economic structures. And if we change the structures, people will do better. His insight was, yes, that is one element, but a far more important element is character. whole idea was his target audience was the college-educated young people in India and around the world, and to teach them values that when they were in positions of leadership, that they would have the character to do good and be good. That's a little bit about my guru. Amazing man. So we are in the 4th chapter. Casey, do you want to follow along with a copy of the text?
Yes, I'd love to.
All right.
Did you want me to bring you one? Sure. Okay, great. I should go this way.
Either way.
There must be people on the Zoom call.
Yeah, this is a hybrid class.
You want
And I'm legally blind, Casey, so they do all the chanting now because I can't see what I'm doing. And I was never very good at it anyway.
May I take notes on my phone?
Actually, I would prefer you didn't. And the reason is if you start to take notes, it'll begin to separate you just a hair from the dynamic that's going on. So a lot of energy starts to rise here. And we want you totally present to it. And what you'll find is the teaching of Vedanta, that's the tradition we have here, is incredibly repetitive. So don't worry. It's experiential. It's not really about the acquisition of information. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay. So one of my spiritual heroes, a saint named Adi Shankara, in one of his books, he says, without knowledge of the self, or the ground of being, our essential nature, study of the scriptures is futile. You get lost in commentary, you'll have all your ideas and interpretations. And then he says, with knowledge of the self, study of the scriptures is again futile. You've become scripture yourself. So what's the purpose of the scriptures? The scriptures are what we call a pramana. Pramana means a means of knowledge, or an authority actually too. It's a bridge, it's a setu, by which the vision of the divine is then transmitted to the student. This tradition is what's called a Shabda Praman. Who knows what Shabda means? Words. Words or sounds. So what we do is we endeavor to put you into an experience of yourself. And then we tell you what you're experiencing, why you're experiencing it. Then you have the aha. Oh, the pratyabhinyana, recognition. All right. What verse are we on tonight?
Verse 11.
Verse 11. Oh, let me turn these lights on so the Zoomies can see better. Okay, will you help us out, please?
Sure. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tastathaiva bhajamyaham mama vartamanurvatan nurvatante manushya partha sarvashah. In whatever way men approach me, even so do I reward them. My path do men tread in all ways, O son of Pritha.
So this is an incredibly beautiful and important verse. In whatever way people approach me, so am I to them. So all the various forms of God, be it Krishna, be it Shiva, be it Hanuman, be it Jesus, be it Allah, be it Yahweh. These are just words and forms. The infinite is nirupam, without a form. Achintyam, beyond thought, ineffable. My favorite word, avyapadesham. Upadesha means to talk about it or to teach. Avyapadesham means you can't talk about it. But in various cultures and times, people need a form to have an idea of the infinite. And what he says is, whatever way you approach me, so am I to them. Those of us who may be involved in 12-step have the idea God as I understand God, a higher power. Gita came up with this idea 3,000 years ago. God has an infinite number of names and no name. Now, listen carefully. Our ideas of God never reach God. God is indefinable. However, our ideas of God can get in the way. For example, do you have a neurotic God? You may not think you have a neurotic God. If you want to know your idea of God, look at how you pray. The way you pray shows. Casey, let me help you find the page. What page are we on?
So I have a different version of the book, but it's chapter 4, verse 11.
Chapter 4.
Yeah.
What page do you have? It's probably close.
I have 277.
Should be around there. Do you have it, Joanna?
No, whatever number
Oh, I
11
see
is way in the early in the book.
Yeah.
I
What
see
page is
277.
Okay.
It's past.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I could hear you flipping pages, and I was saying, oh, she can't find where we are. Anyway, so our ideas of God can get in the way. So I talk about a neurotic God, the way you know what your ideas of God are revealed by how you pray. For example, do you beg, oh God, please heal Aunt Mary or Uncle Vishnu? Does that mean there's a God who's up there saying, come on, Deepa, beg. I love it when you beg. Not enough begging. No answer to your prayer. That's a crazy God. There's no such God. God doesn't do dishes or mop floors. Do you have an idea that God's your errand boy? Oh, I feel so spiritually connected. I got the job I wanted. I got the car I wanted. I finally got the boyfriend or girlfriend. No, God's not your errand boy. So I won't go through so many ideas about God that we can have that get in the way. One of the worst, and many of us who may have been raised, well, actually, there's Hindus who have it too. Do you have a punishing God? Do you have a punishing God? For example, let's say you're raised in a traditional Christian church and you find that you are attracted to people of the same gender. Oh God, he hates me. I'm going to go to hell. I actually had an Indian woman whose husband was in a motorcycle accident and broke his leg. And she was going, oh, are we being punished? No, there's no such God. So one of the things that it's important for us to do is remove these limiting ideas of the infinite. So in whatever way people approach the infinite, so it appears to them. Now, the second half of the verse is also very important, where he says, people seek me in all ways. Didn't it say that, or have I skipped ahead?
It goes on to say, my path do men tread in all ways.
Yes. So, what is the dharma of a human being? What does the word dharma mean?
The teaching.
That's one of its meanings, sure.
Essence.
Essence, yes, that's the first dictionary thing. You look in the Sanskrit dictionary and there's like a page and a half of meanings for dharma. The nature of a thing, the essence of a thing, without which it would not be the thing it is. The classic examples are this: the dharma of fire to burn. It's the dharma of sugar to be sweet. It's the dharma of water to be wet. It can also involve a movement through time and space. For example, the dharma of a river is that it flows from a higher elevation to a lower. If it's not flowing, it's a lake or a glacier or something else. What is the dharma of a human being?
Compassion.
Maybe. Not according to the scriptures.
I'm just guessing.
No, yes, it's a good guess. It's a good guess. God consciousness, self-realization is the dharma of a human being. And we look at it from two viewpoints. First of all, how do you know you are you? You do not see, hear, taste, touch, smell, emote, or think yourself. Yet you know you're you. You are Swayambhu, self-evident. And then we find that is the experience of the infinite. Though it's covered by so many crazy thoughts. So the truth is, whether we realize it or not, we always know I am. The other meaning of it is, what does the human being, here we need to look at this word. So the word human in Sanskrit, anybody know what it is? Manusha. The root for manusha is manas. What does manas mean?
Mind.
So a human is a being with a mind. Actually, the English word man comes from that. It's not a reference to gender plumbing. And a female is a womb man. It's a man with the additional glory of a womb. That's what the word means. But back to the dharma of the mind. I will tell you what the dharma of the mind is. It is a pleasure seeker, pain avoider mechanism. From the moment you get up in the morning until your head hits the pillow at night, you are only engaged in one activity: seeking the good by your understanding of the good and avoiding suffering. It is like phototropism in plants. So some plants, in my old hippy dippy days, we used to have coleuses. Anybody here ever have coleuses? If you put them in the window, all the leaves turn towards the light. Any of you have plants that do that? That's phototropism. You rotate the plant, leaves turn towards the light. They can't help it. It is their dharma with those plants. Humans go towards the good. That's all we ever do. But what if I'm suffering for the good of another? It's because I think that is a higher good. What if I sacrifice for children? Why are you doing it? You think that's a higher good. You go off to war and get killed. Why are you doing it? For your understanding of the good. The only real question is, where's the good? And we spend lifetimes trying to figure that one out. Is it being powerful and important? Nah, it didn't do it. Is it being rich? Nah, that didn't do it. Is it having a partner? Nothing wrong with having a partner. I like to tell the story. This couple who'd been married 60 years, and they were celebrating their anniversary. I had a church job at the time. I'm a musician. And Father Mark asked the wife, have you ever thought of divorce? And she says, divorce? No. Murder? Yes. All relationships are hard work. Any of you who have been married, you know what I mean. So where's the good? Where's the good? Eventually, after many lifetimes, we begin to have suej, which means auspicious desire. I have a desire for the infinite. I begin to have spiritual desires. I may spend many, many lifetimes. Eventually, after many lives lived intelligently, I may come in contact with one of the valid truth teachings. There are many. Vedanta is not the only one. And someone who can show me what it's really about. And the mind comes home to the infinite, comes home to the self, just like the river comes home to the sea. That's where we're all going. It's an inevitability. So even if I walk outside and there's some poor person high on drugs, they don't know it, but they're seeking Krishna. Here, Krishna always is the infinite. It's not the person Krishna. It's the infinite. It's yourself. Yeah. So whether we know it or not, with every desire that we have, all our addictions, all our compulsions, all our control issues, all our ambitions, all our strivings. In the end, what they really are is momokshutva. What is momokshutva? Know these things. What is it, Deepa?
The burning desire of a student or seeker.
Liberation.
Yeah.
For
Can you say that
moksha.
again?
The burning desire for liberation, for moksha, freedom, for God, for yourself. That's where this dharma of the mind is headed. So Krishna says everybody is worshiping God. They just don't know it. Now, get out my little prayer stone, God bless it. This is how it works in the world. All of us desire different things. But when you get what you want, oh, I get a little taste of happiness. Let me show you the technology, the mechanics of Vishaya Ananda, the happiness we experience in the world. The first thing I do is decide what it is that's going to make me happy. A new career, a relationship, success in the stock market, getting a house. I determine it is priya. Priya means something that's dear to me. It's a common name for women in India. So we'll use the stone as a stand-in. It's a widget. But whatever it is, I've decided is dear. Then what do? I endeavor to get proximate to my object of desire. I earn it, I construct it, I go to school and learn about it, I marry it for them. Whatever I do to get proximate to my person, place, thing, or condition. And I get excited when I'm getting near to it. That condition is called mola, where I'm proximate to my object of desire. Everybody understand this? Yes?
Mhm.
Casey, is this making sense?
So far.
It just make really good sense to a Buddhist. Then when desire and object of desire become one, oh yeah, the point of pleasure, it's called pramoda. In my ignorance, I think the happiness is in the widget, the person, place, thing, or condition. What has actually happened is for a moment, my mind is freed from its longing, spriha, from its craving, kama, from its thirsting. That's the word the Buddhists use, trishna. It's a taste of my own self nature. So the fool, oh, I want a widget. Priya, I'm getting close. Moda. Pramoda. Oh, widgets are where it's at. And that makes me want to repeat that experience. The yogi widget appears because of the force of the past. Vishaya Ananda, it's really the bliss of myself. I use the medium of an object, go through the same process. Krishna, Krishna. The yogi owns her Ananda. In the end, there's no such thing as worldly pleasure. Many teachings in the beginning say, oh, you've got to renounce worldly pleasures and go for spiritual enlightenment. It's true. But in the end, we see that the objects of the world are shunyata. What's shunyata mean?
Empty.
Empty, void. They're not bad. I just use them to get a momentary experience of the bliss of my own self. It will vary in intensity and it will vary in duration, depending on how badly I wanted it and how completely it satisfied my internal card file of what I think is the right experience. And it's always temporary. The Shayananda, the bliss we experience through the objects, is always impermanent. Now, this is for Casey. So, the Buddha said exactly the same teaching in his Four Noble Truths. Are you familiar with those? Yes?
Yes.
First one, life the way most of us live it is suffering. Dukkha satya, the truth is suffering. Noble truth number 2, samudaya satya, the arising of suffering, the cause of suffering is sangraha, attachment, kama, craving. This stuff you've heard?
Yes.
Noble truth number 3, freedom from craving is freedom from suffering. And the simplest place we can prove this is every night when you go to sleep. You can have a terrible day. Oh, I want this and I want that, and this is so terrible, and I'm not getting what I want, and I can't control this, yada, yada, yada. You go to sleep, where do they all go? There's no ego, there's no objects of desire, there's no mind to suffer. Oh, thank God, I finally got to sleep. What does that do? It proves to us you must have a mind to be miserable. You do not need a mind in order to be happy. So we get these momentary freedoms from suffering every time we satisfy a desire. And then noble truth number 4, marga satya, is it possible to be permanently free from suffering? The Buddha said, yes. That's the Eightfold Path, what we would call sadhana, what we would call yoga. It's the same teaching, the same teaching. So this is all implied when Krishna says, everybody everywhere is only seeking me. What I want is God consciousness. What I want is Brahmananda Rasa Swad, the taste of the juice of the bliss of the infinite. I just go about it in a really ineffective, inefficient, clumsy way. And then we get the law of diminishing return. I have a dastardly friend who brought me a box of C's candies today. The first one was fabulous. I've probably eaten a third of the box already. Oh, can't stop. I'm sure none of you have ever had that experience, right? If they had the capacity to deliver real joy, I'd only want one. And the 10th would be just as joyful as the first. But that's not our experience. It's not how the world works. So it's an incredibly important teaching. I think I want things in the world. There's nothing wrong with the world. In the end, the world is God. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. All this is verily God. But the names and forms are inherently neutral. I attribute joy-giving or misery-producing qualities to them. And then I run after it. And all I get after I've gotten what I wanted is a taste of my own self-nature. So what the yogi wants to do is learn how to have Atmaramana, to revel directly in the self, independent of the world. The pleasures of the world are a mediated experience. There is a medium. Yoga invites us to have an immediate experience. Now, for those of us who've practiced meditation, if you've been diligent and you've been at it for some time, chances are you've had at least moments when the mind has gotten still and all our strivings cease. And there's the deep, deep. Who's had that experience in meditation? Understand no object caused it. What you did was to some degree remove the struggler, remove the jonesing mind. Earlier on, Krishna said the person who gets rid of the objects of desire but allows the desires to remain behind is verily a hypocrite. In the 12-step traditions, we call that being dry. When a person has put down the bottle but has all the agitations of the mind, white knuckling it. And then Krishna says, but their desire leaves them upon seeing the Supreme. And people start to have a spiritual experience, then those compulsions, those cravings start to go away. Very, very important verse, 4th chapter. Any questions or thoughts on this? Does this make sense to you, Joanna?
Yeah, I was thinking back to last week about
your comment on the translation of the word nirvana has been
Yeah.
blown
Blown
out.
out, yeah.
That will stay with me all week. Yeah.
Same idea, approaching it from a little bit different effort. And understand the mind freed from craving is rarely, if ever, accomplished through willpower. It's done through insight. The root for sight, for vision, drish pashyati. Drish is the root. Well, some people say there are two different roots. Some people say it's an irregular verb. So we get words like darshan from that. But let's see. Vriksham pashyami. What's that mean?
Richest tree.
Yeah. I see the tree. Pashyati. You can use that root. So V, what's the word V? The root, or the prefix V mean?
Separation.
No, it means a superlative.
Mm.
It means, sometimes it means the opposite. So it can mean separation there, but usually it means, like we have jnanam, knowledge, and vijnanam, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Understand?
Mm.
So pashyana means sight. Vipashyana is usually translated as insight. That's the Sanskrit. The Pali is vipassana. Who here's I did a vipassana retreat. Who's done that? That's what it means. Profound, deep seeing into what is. That's what it means. So we let go of things when we see what the problem is. Oh, Jim, I don't know what it is. It's somewhere between the 5th and the 10th beer. Then I turn into crazy man. I don't know what to do about that. No, it's the first beer. What do you mean? Nobody ever got drunk on one beer. If you don't drink the first beer, you don't have to worry about the 5th or the 10th. Oh, insight. Oh, my problem is alcohol. No, actually, alcohol is your solution to being restless, irritable, and discontent. That's how you deal with it. Let's find a better solution. That's called Bhagavad Gita. It's great. It's so parallel with yoga. It's incredibly parallel with yoga. All right. Any more questions about this incredibly subtle and profound verse? Next one. This is 12 or 13?
12.
Okay.
Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yajanta iha devataha kshipram hi manushe loke siddhir bhavati karmaja. They who long for satisfaction from actions in this world make sacrifices to the gods because satisfaction is quickly obtained from actions in the world of objects.
So, Deva Yajna. The word Deva comes from the root div, which means to shine. We get the English word divine or divinity from the same root. We also get devil from it too, by the way. So what is worship or sacrifice to the devas. Now, in ancient Hindu ritual, the idea was the gods could be controlled through sacrifice. So even today, in many Hindu families, so you open up a shop or a restaurant, and then you install an idol of Lakshmi. She's the goddess of wealth. And then you hire a pujari to come and do a Lakshmi puja. Why? Why would they do that? You do the puja, you propitiate the goddess, your business will be successful. The deeper meaning of this, the devas are the presiding principles over the various fields of human endeavor. They can also mean the sense organs. They can also sometimes mean the forces of nature. But the context here means the presiding principles over the forces, over human endeavor. So, for example, Joanna, you're a psychotherapist, right? So you went to school, you got a degree, you did all your intern hours, stuff like that, right?
Correct.
Okay. What you did is propitiate the shrink goddess.
Mhm.
You see, that's the sacrifice. That's the ritual you did in order to become a psychotherapist.
Mhm.
Now, if you've propitiated her well, your clients will do well and they'll write you a check. So Vinayak is an engineer. So you have what, a PhD?
Yes.
From Cal?
Yes.
How long did it take you to do that?
5 years.
5 years. And what are you doing now?
Building stuff.
Yeah. So you're propitiating the engineering law. And if you've learned your craft and the stuff you build, you search and research, experiment, come up with a product. He makes radar stuff. If it works and you're able to sell it to Mercedes or Porsche or something, then the engineering god will be propitiated. So do you understand the subtler meaning of this propitiation of the devas? So what Krishna is saying here, worldly people move through the world. They may think they are religious. Oh, I worship God. But what I say, take the word God, G-O-D, and then we go, oh, and we stretch it a bit. And we take another O, we go, so G-O-O-D. Your good is your God. Your God is your good. Oh, yes, I'm a yogi, but I spend all my time wishing I had a partner. Oh, I'm a good Christian, but I spend all my time trying to make money. Your good is your God. So what Krishna is saying here, sometimes Deva is translated as demigods. Doesn't matter how you translate it. But it is a lower form of ritual. Now it can get pretty subtle. So for example, we were talking about your chanting guru. So at what time in your study with her, when you had certain emotional challenges, did she not give you a chant to do to deal with those emotional challenges?
Yeah.
So you propitiated that particular deva through the chant to heal this issue. So it's not just things, it can be at a subtle level as well. It's still Deva Yajna. It's still propitiating the various presiding principles of human endeavor. And here Krishna says, most people spend their time doing that. Now, I have sad news for you. The good that you get from Deva Yajna is always temporary. Oh, I made $300,000 last year, but then I got laid off. What have you made this year? Zero. What do you have to do? Get another job. Oh, a fancy car I got. Has anybody keyed your Tesla yet?
No.
Yeah, Vinayak just got a brand new car. I promise you, 5-10 years.
Did you just get a Tesla?
Let's put a few months.
But you know what I mean. What was the car you had where the window was broken?
The Porsche.
A Porsche. Oh my gosh, a Porsche.
It wasn't mine, it was my ex's.
But the point is, what happened to it?
Someone broke into it.
Yeah, guess what happens? All things in this world are temporary, without exception. Joanna's a singer. She's a youngster. How old are you now?
None of the big ones.
A whole lot younger than I. That's the point. Point is, my voice doesn't work very well. Everything passes. Everything. So the problem with Deva Yajna, it's not bad. It's just we have to really see what it is. Always impermanent. Always fine. And then what Krishna's going to say, what people are really seeking is me. All right, next verse.
Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashah tasya kartaramapi mam vidya kartaramavyayam. The fourfold caste has been created by me according to the differentiation of guna and karma. Though I am the author thereof, know me as non-doer and immutable.
This again is a very deep verse and profoundly misunderstood. Chatur Varna. Chatur means four. Varna means caste. It also means color. Just like the English word caste or hue, you would say. And there are four castes. And notice that Krishna says, according to guna and karma. He does not say janma. What is janma?
Birth.
Over the centuries, the caste system became stratified, ossified, and combined with the whole idea of jati, which is actually like a profession. And people were born into a caste. And there was an enormous amount of social injustice because of it. But that is not what the scripture says. The scripture says, according to guna and karma, meaning the qualities of mind and the actions that we do. So, what are the four castes? The first are the Brahmanas. These are the academics, the thinkers, the philosophers, the scholars, the holders of the cultural and religious traditions. Next one is Kshatriyas, the warrior caste. It not only means kings, soldiers, but those who are built where they have the desire to fight for justice. Lawyers, activists today, those who fight for equality, for justice. These are Kshatriyas. Vaishyas, usually merchants, but it means people engaged with the production and distribution of goods and services. The vast majority of us in this country. Shudras does not mean servants. Shudras are people who are laborers, who work with their hands. We're having a resurgence now where people are saying, I don't want to go to college, I want to be an electrician. I want to be a merchant marine. I want to be a carpenter. I want to work in the trades. These would be the Shudras. Then there are people who, for cultural reasons in the past, are outside of the caste system. Chandalas. We would call them Dalits today. Frequently, they were tribal folk who lived in villages. Oftentimes from other than the traditional Hindu cultures in India. And they were given the lowest of the low jobs to do. But the point is, all of us fall into one of those four rough categories. So you may have been born into a Brahmin family, been given Gayatri Mantra. If you're a boy, given the sacred thread. But if you're out there in the world, running a business and buying and selling, and it's about making money, you're not a Brahmin, you're a Vaishya, you're a merchant. Antithetically, you may have been born from a very low family. I can think of two people right off the top of my head. Any of you know the great saint Nisargadatta Maharaj? He was from a very low caste. His father was a domestic servant and left and got a farm. But he was one of the great saints of the 20th century. He ended up running a beedi store in Bombay, sold cigarettes. But a man of the deepest realization. Any of you know about the hugging saint, Amaji?
Yes.
Yeah, she's from a poor
Yeah.
fishing village.
She was.
Poor fishing village. And again, You may come from a high-class family, but if you're buying and selling and not attentive to the spiritual life, then according to Gita, you're not a grandma. Those of us who are outside the Hindu culture are technically chandalas. We're outcasts. We're not one of the four varnas that you're born into. Now, yes, in India for hundreds of years, the upper castes, the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, had looked down on what they would call the lower castes, the merchants and the laborers and the outcasts. Basically said, serve me and get paid like crap, and if you do it well, you'll come back with a better lifetime next time. That's unjust. Since independence, there's been a strong affirmative action program in the education system. So if you're in one of the scheduled classes, you have preference in education. That's right. Many of the upper class kids come to the US. I mean, they're not excluded from the universities. So this is a really problematic verse. And the rigidity of the caste system is unjust and it's racist. It is not a whole lot different than Paul's letter to the Romans, where he says, wives, obey your husbands, slaves, obey your masters. This was a scripture that people in this country used to justify the enslavement of Africans and people of African descent. It's wrong. So anybody have thoughts on this or questions about it? It's a very, very important thing to understand. The actual teaching in the scripture. I'm the author of the Ch4 Varna, the fourfold caste, according to guna, qualities of mind, karma, your actions. That's the text, not janma, birth. Any thoughts on this? All right, we'll do one more.
Namam karmani nibbanti, name karma phale spriha, iti mam yobhijanati, karma bhirna sabatyate. Actions do not taint me, nor have I any desire for the fruits of actions. He who knows me, thus is not bound by his actions.
All right, this is too much to do in 2 minutes. We'll repeat this verse next week. So we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om.